What's up, Risers? Today we're going to talk about optimizing on Fantasy Cruncher for all things NFL. We're going to go over settings. We're going to talk about stacks and groups and all sorts of things inside FC. What I've done here is I've gone over to the NFL Study Hub on the teamriseorfall.com website, and I've taken our projection sheet, and I've gone to the projections copy-paste tab, and I grabbed the projections from our site, and I uploaded them into Fantasy Cruncher. Now, if you're wondering, wow, how do I get access there? Well, actually, if you're one of our $29.99 Ronin members, you get a monthly $20 credit to fantasycruncher.com. That's right, $20 every single month that you are a member, you can apply to FC. If you're a member with us for a year, that's $240 annually you get to use at fantasycruncher.com. Once you sign up, you go to the FC voucher tab, and it'll be right here. If you happen to save them up or didn't use them over a couple months, they add up. So if you save up for several months, you can use it on FC Pro or something like that, your call. Now, let's go back to Fantasy Cruncher and get to work. First thing you need to do each and every time that you are here, you're going to open up this game filter. You're going to slide down to the main slate, or if you are doing a small slate, whatever that might be, you can grab it here. Now, since this is for week 1, I am using the 9-13 12-game slate. Advanced options. This is up to the user. I personally like to use 2 or 3 unique players. That means you'll always have at least three new players in each lineup right here if I set it at 3 uniques. If I had it at 1, then potentially only one player will differentiate from each next consecutive created lineup. Having it 3 will allow my lineups to be slightly different. The minimum salary, I am a big fan of jamming in some type of minimum salary so that you can inherently have a higher floor and ceiling combination in your projections and in your scoring. So if you are not putting this, there's potentially going to be some lineups made that are $48,000. And you don't want to leave $2,000 on the table. I don't care what anybody tells you, $2,000 is going to help you somewhere, whether you're paying up for a better running back or a better wide receiver, or maybe you're paying up for one of the top tight ends rather than a punt one. Whatever you do, I think a minimum salary, whatever that number is, that's arbitrary, $49K, $49.5, $49.7, whatever you feel comfortable with, plug that in. For today's example, I'm going $49.5. Down here at the global cap, we can edit this based on however risk adverse you are. If you are somebody that doesn't inherently want to invest too heavily into any one player, well then lower this 50%, 60%, whatever you think is solid for your personal investment style. Randomness, well, if you have FC Pro, I personally am going to have my randomness on, and I'm going to probably put this up higher, 25, 50, 75%, because of the distribution curve for how FC Pro works. If you are using Classic, I suggest something low, 5% or so, maybe 10%, whatever you think is acceptable for you. That would be inherently just a very random projection based on whatever you have, 5% below or above the projection point. It is very random. With a distribution curve, you'll have more projections closer to what your actual projection is. If that doesn't make sense, oh well, reach out to me in Discord, and I'm happy to help you out in our teamriseorfall.com company Discord. So I'm going to throw this up to, we'll go 25% for the sake of this example. All right, now, next thing we want to buckle down, and this is very important, is we need to talk about all of our rules. And these are important because you want to make sure that you set your rules up correctly so you don't have all lineups all screwy with weird types of construction, because we know that in NFL, construction is everything. There are many, many different rules you can actually set up inside Fantasy Cruncher on this tab. Now, I'm using the position stack, so if I wanted a quarterback in my lineup, which of course you have to have one, you can set this to at least exactly or at most a certain number. So if I wanted at least one player, I can just hold the control button right now, click on running back, wide receiver, and tight end. Now I have told Fantasy Cruncher that anytime a quarterback pops up into my lineup, at least one player from the running back, wide receiver, or tight end position on the same team will get used. I could add this stacking rule. And if I wanted somebody on the opposite team with the same rule or something different like this. Say the Buffalo Bills are winning by 40 points. The opposing team's running back, unless they're a very good pass catcher, is likely going to get phased out of the game. So you could take that off and then add this rule. So now what you've said is every single time that a quarterback is used, he will be stacked with someone on his team, a running back, a wide receiver, a tight end. Whatever you believe there, feel free to edit that. If you don't want any running backs stacked with quarterbacks, then take that rule off. And you've also said that when that quarterback gets used, you want somebody on the opposing pass catching targets from the opposing team to be used as well. If the Bills are playing the Jets, you'll have a Josh Allen and John Brown stack potentially. On the opposite side, Denzel Mims is being run back, and you have a 3-player game stack. You have Josh Allen, John Brown, and Denzel Mims. These rules can be edited and tweaked to your liking. If you want a bigger game stack, you could say maybe you want exactly 2 players on the opposing team. So you've got a 2-player run back from the Jets side and a 1-person stack with Josh Allen on the Buffalo Bills side. And you can set this so that it is very specific to certain teams as well, if for whatever reason you wanted to do that. You can set it to be including only the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets or whomever it might be, or excluding the New Orleans Saints for these rules. Whatever you want, you can set that up. I personally just go with an organic setup of some sort like this, which allows me to have proper roster construction at the base of all of my lineups. Is this the final way I build them? Absolutely not, but this is a good place to start. Another thing you want to do is go over to the limit rules, and you're not going to want multiple running backs from the same team in a lineup. So here's what you do. Limit number of running backs. The next thing you want to do is slide over to the limit rule and set up some very basic rules. And again, the stack rules, you might end up with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these. This just depends on what you personally want to happen in your lineups. Basically, whatever you want to happen in your lineups, you can tell Fantasy Cruncher to do it. If you say you want a wide receiver with at least 1 wide receiver or tight end from the opposing team, you can do that. So now if John Brown against Denzel Mims is your matchup you want, then here's a good way to organically get that. If you always want an opposing pass catcher with a pass catcher to have some sort of game stack, this can be completely aside from the quarterback. This is how you would set it up. You can set up many rules, many rules here. Whatever you want FC to do, set it up here to have it done. You can go over to limit rules. You could say you do not want multiple running backs from the same team to show up. So limit number of running backs from same team to 1 player. That way we're not having Devin Singletary and Zach Moss in the same lineup. I've told FC in no way, shape, or form do I want 2 running backs from the same team to show up. So limit running back from same team to 1 player. If you'd like to know more of my limit rules, my stack rules, and things like that, you're going to have to tune into my twitch.tv/teamriseorfall live streams. And I have a schedule posted right there on our website, teamriseorfall.com. And you can check out when they are every single day, including our primetime showdown slate coverage. And if you'd like extra content and you want extra help with all things Fantasy Cruncher, then sign up at teamriseorfall.com and use your FC voucher, which is the free $20 credit every single month if you're one of our members. The beauty of FC Pro is you can use this auto group creator. I have set it up so that, let's say, every quarterback with more than 7 projected points will get populated, and every positional player with 6 or more will get populated in here. And I've said that every single group that is created using this key player, which will be my quarterback, because I've nominated my quarterback to be my keyed player, and you'll see why the keyed player is important. I will set the group to have at least 1 player used from this group. I've changed the variable instead of team abbreviation to be the key player's name, and this is why. Now I have a Baker Mayfield group, which means every time my keyed player, here's a little key, Baker Mayfield, if a key player is used, the following group is applied. It must use at least 1 player from this group. Now, if I'm looking at this group, guess what? I don't have to worry about Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt ending up in the same lineup because of my limit rule. I've told Fantasy Cruncher to limit running backs from the same team to 1 player. I do not have to worry about Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in the same lineup. Now, my friends, if you do not have FC Pro, you're going to create a new group. You can label this Baker Mayfield. And you're going to type in CLE. It's very simple that way. Shows you all the Cleveland players. Anybody who has the CLE in their name as well will pop up. Now I'm going to hold on to the Shift button. I'm going to click all the players that I want to pop up into this list as I'm holding onto Shift. Now I have all the primary Cleveland targets, and I'm going to click this key button. The reason why is because every time I want Baker Mayfield in a lineup, I want this rule to get kicked in. If you had Jarvis Landry up here, the rule would edit itself so that every time Jarvis Landry is used, at least one player from these players would get used as well, which is not what you want. You always want to set your quarterback up here as the keyed player. Now, if you want larger Baker Mayfield stacks, maybe you love Baker Mayfield this week, you could set this up to say, well, I want at least 2 of these players involved in my Baker Mayfield stacks every time. Or you could say exactly 2 or between 1 to 2. So every time Baker Mayfield gets used, you'll get at least 1, but no more than 2. That way, if you're nervous and you did not want 3 or more to show up, this is why you'd set it up to say between 1 to 2. Very easy, organic way to set it up is just say at least 1. But, my friends, FC is a beautiful and powerful tool which you all have control over to set up in a way, in any shape or form, to get exactly what you want out of your crunches. Now, once you've set that up, the next thing you're going to want to do is go through and make your own player pool. However you want to create this, whether it's based on our projections, our value score, or our ownerships that you can upload later. If you want to use our player pools and all the content we have over here that we will have posted on the site, including picks and pools, cash games, tiered rankings, notes, exposures, leverage stacks, all sorts of things, strategy guides, whatever it is that makes you decide who you want in your lineups. That's baseball. Who you want in your lineups, you're going to do that. So you make your own player pools, my friends, and you're ready to rock. At this point, you have set up all your settings in the general area. You've set them up in your groups to make all the lineup building groups you want. And last thing you might want to do is potentially set some type of global cap, which I did not for the purpose of this demonstration, but let's go ahead and do that. Let's say I don't want any more than, 50%, just for an example. I'm going to calculate. While this is calculating, you can click this quarterback tab if you'd like. Watch these lineups get created. And while they're getting created, if you're like, oh my goodness, I am not getting enough Tom Brady. Well, my friends, very quickly, you can just hit this stop button in the middle of your crunches. And when you go up to quarterback, slide down to Tom Brady. Very easy to just lock him in. And you could say, well, I know I want 33 Tom Brady stacks. Okay, great. So I'm clicking that. I'm clicking go. Now look at Tom Brady, baby. Drinking straight from the fountain of youth here. I'm going to add 33 lineups to Tom Brady. I'm going to slide up here, and now I can continue. You could do this for any position, for any player. If there's somebody that you're getting too much of, maybe you're like, no way, man, I can't. This is just way too many New York Jets lineups at defense. The Bills are the best team in the NFL, which they are, my friends. You can edit their projection. You can click this thumb right here. Every time you click one of these, it lowers or raises their projection by 8% based on the amount of thumbs. So one negative thumb would be minus 8% of their projections. 2 thumbs, minus 16. 3 thumbs, minus 24%. All right, let me go ahead and finish out the rest of my lineups. 67 more stacks to make. It's beautiful here. You can go to the Team Stack tab, and at the end, we'll take a quick peek, and I'll show you some different things you can do with your final crunched lineups. All right, my lineups are done being crunched out. You can look at all of your exposures here, each and every position, one at a time by just clicking the positional tab. If you ever want to see, well, I want to know all of my Carson Wentz stacks, click that little search bar right here, and I have every single lineup with Carson Wentz in here. And I can go look at every stack and see if I like it, or if there's things I want to tweak to get a different type of lineup. You can see a Wentz to Goddard stack with Terry McLaurin, running it back on the other side as a game stack. Now, there are other things you'll want to probably do to make sure you don't have Le'Veon Bell and Chris Herndon showing up in your same lineup, and those would be under the team stacks and the limit rule. Here's how you would do that. You'd go to your limit number of running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends from same team to one player unless paired with their QB or the opposing QB. And this is extremely important because we don't want to end up with Le'Veon Bell and Chris Herndon stacked in there on the same team without their quarterback or opposing quarterback. So by setting this rule up, you're saying that only one player from each team can get used unless they're included in some type of game stack. And let me show you this now. So when I calculate this out, there won't be a single lineup in here where I have multiple players from the same team unless they're involved in a stack. So here I do have two Baltimore Ravens, Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews, but if we slide up top, they are also stacked with Lamar Jackson. And because we had the rule in there, guess what? We had a tight end on the other side running it back with the Brownies here in a 4-player game stack. That is also indicative of exactly why you want to create your own player pools. Players like this, especially at the tight end position, I check them off. At the tight end position, I am looking to really capitalize on these guys who we think have pretty solid floors, will get a lot of targets, opportunity to score touchdowns, or catch passes. Whomever those players are, just make sure they are your only tight ends, and your stacks will look so much better when you finally crunch this out compared to what it would have been like if I had used the initial crunch. I have a fair amount of tight ends in here who are just completely garbage for DFS purposes. I'm not touching these types of players. And as soon as I take them out, I can delete this. I can delete this. And now here's the new crunch, and I'm at the tight end position. Yes, baby. I want these types of tight ends. This is the tight end exposure I'm looking for in my lineups. All right, my friends, there are so many more things you can do for NFL, but I really, really want you to tune into the twitch.tv/teamriseorfall streams. Those are every single day. Again, every single day right here, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:50 p.m. Eastern at night, and on Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. pre-lock stream. I'll be there to help you out each and every step of the way. If you need our content, you're looking for extras, or you simply want to have the beautiful, beautiful monthly credit here to fantasycruncher.com, go ahead, sign up at teamriseorfall.com and get started, and I will see you on stream and in Discord. Remember, my friends, together we rise or fall.